Hey guys. So, I love conspiracies. I love the Mandela effect. I love everything that seems to be not real in reality. It's just always that's been something that's really weird and very interesting to think about the other side of things instead of what we actually see and what we hear and what we think we know. I had the opportunity to watch on the Vice channel a show talking about how crisis actors were, you know, people who get paid by the government to say certain things on the news or on fake news or whatever, and they have a script and they say certain things to make the human race and our society feel threatened or scared or whatever. So I watched this show and I really recommend people to watch this because it was for someone who loves conspiracy theories and thinks about this stuff all the time and wonders about certain things in the universe and what happens in real life and what's reality, what's not reality, what we see on TV, and all this other things. It kind of took me by surprise when I watched this because what it was is these two people called Cy Thorne and Conspiracy Granny were going around to different places that had traumatic shootings. There was a church shooting talking about Sandy Hook, and then the Douglas shooting in Florida. Pretty much they were going around saying that these people were crisis actors, they were hired by the FBI, and they were going to call them out on their bullshit. And it was, to be completely honest, it was very sad to watch these two people go after parents that lost their child at certain events that happened due to guns. And these parents were very pissed at them, stating that these people were all about guns and they have a right to their guns and guns, 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 all about guns. And you have the realistic people who lost their child, like in Sandy Hook, in the Douglas shooting, and everything like that. There was one incident that I saw, and I took notes on watching this documentary because it was crazy to watch. The first thing that he talked about was about Sandy Hook and how supposedly Sandy Hook was a hoax. And he was stating that there was no ambulance at Sandy Hook and that it was fake news and that the news was there and they were just making it all look fake, and they had all these, cars there, but it had nothing to do with the shooting because the shooting supposedly never happened. There was a little boy that lost his life in the Sandy Hook shooting. And by the way, just a disclaimer, I'm not saying any of this stuff to be disrespectful to anybody at all. This is just something that I saw, and they're just kind of like my feelings about it. But he goes over about the Sandy Hook, how one of the kid died. It was a little boy that died in the Sandy Hook shooting, and what I thought was weird is they did an interview with the dad, the father of the little boy who lost his life in Sandy Hook. Well, he mysteriously now is undercover, and so during the interview process they didn't want to show his face at all when we had already seen photos of him and he had already done interviews before about it. I thought that was kind of weird how he all of a sudden doesn't want to show his face. And he said that he not really disguised himself, but he changed the look of his appearance because he didn't want people to see who he was, or wanted any type of confrontation and people to ask him still about stuff. And supposedly the rumor about his son was that his son, supposedly died in Sandy Hook, but his son supposedly died in the Pakistan shooting in their school. And his photo was everywhere in Pakistan stating that he died in Pakistan. And the father was stating they don't know why that his son's photo was there. He was stating that maybe they used his son's photo because they are grieving just like we were here about Sandy Hook, and that they were with the kid. They were, sympathizing with that. And I thought that was kind of weird, and I thought, well, that could be true. But people were saying that the kid died again, and that he never died the first time, and that somehow he died again, and it was all fake news, and all this stuff. So I thought that was really weird. Like I said, I wasn't there, and I'm not saying nobody lost their life, and I'm not saying any of that. It just makes you think about what's real, what's not real, and what's fake news, and what's real news. But it definitely made me sad to see that, because I was like taken back by it, because who's to say that wasn't my kids, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, it was just weird. So the next thing was the David Hogg interview. Now, if you don't know, David Hogg was one of the guys from the Douglas shooting in Florida that he was being seen in a lot of interviews, and people were saying that it was scripted. He's a crisis actor, because they showed like a behind the scenes where he was trying to redo his lines, and he kept like repeating it, but he was getting it wrong, and he wanted to say it again. David Hogg had stated that he was only doing that because he was trying to get the right words out, and he wanted to make sure he was saying the correct thing. But these people were saying, no, he's a crisis actor. He just, was paid by the government. The FBI had paid him to say a certain thing. He had a script. None of it was real. He just did it for money, whatever. And there's been countless interviews of David Hogg in a bunch of things, not only with the Douglas shooting, but for something else. I cannot remember what it was from. But he was in another interview talking about stuff like that. Do I think it's fake for someone, like I said, who loves conspiracies? I love the stories, but I don't know if I'm on the fence as a conspiracy theorist. I wouldn't really call myself a conspiracy theorist. I do love hearing about theories and thinking about things that's not real and what could be real. But I don't know. It's definitely interesting to see kind of our reality and somebody else's reality, I guess you could say. And then another thing was that was really made me really sad and made me question these people who were going after these other people, saying that they were crisis actor. What was their names? Side Thorn and Conspiracy Granny. Wow, that's gonna be me in the future. Not really. But what made me so sad and like pissed off was these two people were going around, and it was a church shooting was what it was. I don't remember what the name of it was, but they went to the actual location of where the church shooting was, and they took a camera and went around like the whole vicinity of the building, and there was like, oh, there's no bullet holes, this has never been replaced, you can't tell it's ever been replaced, so there's never been a bullet hole, it never existed, the church shooting never existed, it was fake, it was a hoax. There's been so many Facebooks that was in this documentary stating that Sandy Hook was a hoax, and there was a Facebook page about it, and I think it's been taken down. There was another one from Side Thorn and Conspiracy Granny, and they were going around to that church and was telling people supposedly who witnessed that shooting was going to reward them with $100,000 to admit that it was fake and to show proof, like death certificates, that their daughter, mother, grandmother, son, brother, whatever, had died from that shooting. Like, it was ugly, you guys. Like, he was yelling at them, like cussing, like, well, supposedly if this church shooting happened, why is there no death certificate? Why can't you just prove that, and then we'll just put it to rest? And the guy was like, it happened, my daughter died from this shooting, stop coming over here, stop harassing me, and stop, not thinking about reality. People grieve in different ways. And I was just like blown away by that, because how these two people, individuals, go up to places where people have lost their lives and say it never happened and it won't prove, like, death certificates, is very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. There's one thing to have an opinion about something that may or may not have happened, but there's no excuse for you to go up to that person and say you want death certificates to show proof that they're not crisis actors. It blew my mind that he would say that. They both ended up getting arrested after the documentary. It shows, because of terroristic threats to that guy. But I think what people don't realize is some people grieve differently, and some people cry, some people are just in shock and they can't cry, or they act like nothing happened. I think people don't have to prove anything, really. I think so far as proving something, we need to really focus on what's real news and what's fake news. Because people really did lose their lives. And if they didn't, especially kids, what would they do with them? Just put them in hiding for 10 years, and then finally they can come out when they don't look like that person in that photo that died? That doesn't make sense to me, even with the amount of money. You know what I'm saying? That's just weird to me. And then there were photos stating where supposedly certain kids that died in Sandy Hook were still alive today, and it showed them being teenagers now. And I'm just like, what? Anyway, but like I said, this is no disrespect to anybody. This was just my opinion on The Vice doing a documentary about crisis actors and how conspiracy theorists, sorry, y'all know what I mean, that think that nothing ever happens in real life, and that they don't have a grip on reality, and that it's all fake, and that everything's a hoax. A lot of things are a hoax, and we'll get into that in another conspiracy theory, because I have a bunch. But my opinion on these shootings is people really did lose their life, and people mourn in different ways, and there's no need for you to be an asshole and go up to people asking and demanding for death certificates of what the fuck happened. Let them grieve, let them move on with their life and get over this and continue about their life. So I really suggest you guys go watch it on YouTube. Just type in The Vice documentary on crisis actors and watch it. It's about 25 minutes long. It's so good and it's so crazy. You just need to watch it and tell me what you think in the comments below. We can talk about it, because I love conspiracy theories, because they are so weird and so different and something you don't ever think about. But yeah, so hope everybody has a good day. Bye.